This video is sponsored by Lulu.
I'm going to show a couple of tips here. Let's say
What
you're
are
doing a
these, you?
yearbook.
I love
None of
that.
these are me. None of these. We've got all kinds of people in here, but none of them are me.
Uh,
But there's a problem here.
mhm.
If we're going to lay this out like a yearbook, we've got a big problem, actually, several problems. One is that the images are different sizes, and the other one is that it's not in a grid. We need it to be in a grid. So a couple of tips here. First of all, if you need to normalize all of these, make them all the same size, one of the easiest ways to do that is to make an object style. So I've made an object style here called Yearbook Photos, and if I right-click on that and choose Edit Yearbook Photos, you can see that there's several things in here like text frame. Wow. Oh, I scroll down. Size and position options. A lot of people don't realize that you can set the size of an object inside your object style. Super, super helpful. So I've set this the height and width to be 5 and 6 picas large, and I've also scrolled down here to the frame fitting options, and I've said make sure when you resize the frame, make sure you center it and fill the frame proportionally. So that's how that's set up. Go ahead and click OK. And now I'm going to select all of these and just click on the object style, and boom, they're all normalized. They're all exactly the same size. So that's great. Now the next thing we need to do is put them into a grid. And you can look all over InDesign and you will not find a put these into a grid feature. But there is one. It's secret. It's super, super, super secret. And I want to show that to you. The way you put a bunch of objects into a grid is that you use this feature. Anne-Marie and I were just talking about this, I think, on the podcast. What do you call this? The bucket of peas?
Bucket of peas.
Bucket of peas. Bucket of peas. And I need to move this over to the proper screen so you can see what happens. If you press the B key, or you choose the bucket of peas, which is technically called the content collector tool, you get this little floating content collector thing, the conveyor, I think they call it.
The conveyor.
And then you can just drag over all of your objects here and select them. When you do that, it doesn't look like they're selected but you can see in the conveyor down here, 14 images were added to the conveyor. Like a group. It's almost like a group of objects.
They only get added if you have it open first before you make your selection. Is that right?
Well, when you choose this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth tool down, the content collector, as soon as you select that, the content conveyor appears. It just magically appears.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about opening it or closing it. Just choose the tool, drag over all the objects.
Okay.
And now, here's the secret. Now we're going to switch. You can press the B key again, or you can choose the content placer tool, which I guess is still a bucket of peas. But if you look really, really closely inside that icon in the tool panel, you can see that each one of those dots is in a grid, which is
each P.
Each P.
Grid of peas. Yes.
Exactly. So if you just drag them out, they're not going to show up on a grid at all. They're going to show up all over the place. So here's the trick. You switch to the content placer tool, you start dragging these out, and then while the mouse button is held down, you press the arrow keys. I'm going to press the arrow key up, 1, and on the keyboard, right? And it gridifies it. You get the gridify effect. I'll press a couple more times, and all of a sudden you see that I have a 4x4 grid.
That is slick.
Isn't this great? Now when I let go of the mouse button, they all come in not only in a grid, but even in alphabetical order. How about that?
Alphabetical order? How'd that happen?
Well, this is a trick. It was based on, I believe it was based on either the order that I placed them in, or it's based on their listing in the links panel, which is kind of cool. Now, once you do that, you don't need the originals. Did you notice it made a duplicate of them, right?
Yeah.
It duplicated all of them. So I'm just going to select the first ones and then delete them again because I don't need those anymore. And now I've got my grid of objects. Right. If I want to change the space between them, we know the old trick of you click on one of the side or corner handles, click, hold down for a moment, then hold down the space bar, then drag them in, and that changes the amount of space between each one. Then let go of the mouse button, and then finally let go of the space bar. And we now have a perfect grid of all of those objects in the order we want them in.
Well, I hope you liked this video, and if you want lots more tips like this, be sure to check out CreativePro.com and subscribe to InDesign magazine. Thanks for learning with us.